You know, niggas gotta get their priorities together. Got their mind on the wrong things, spending their money in the wrong way.
Trapaholics, real trap shit.
Say you need that car with the rims and a trunk, just like Jim. It's more than life. Yeah.
I'm telling you. Talk to him.
Say you need that LV bag with the belt and the hat.
That's all you got though.
It's more than life. Yeah.
Talk to him. Real.
Say you wanna turn up at the club, like some bottles, impress them girls. It's more than life.
Fucking everybody.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Saints and Appetizers podcast. And who dat? And we are back. We are back with some more main course for you. And I'm talking about Week 8. New Orleans Saints take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home at the Caesars Superdome. This is a Sunday, October 26th. At 3:05 p.m. So the Saints are actually getting an afternoon game instead of a 1 or noon o'clock game. So that would be kind of nice considering now, like the Thursday night game, we got to see the Minnesota Vikings just get absolutely destroyed. With that was enjoyable. But we were looking at an opportunity or a situation here where we might not get to see another game before we get to see the Saints, because there is no international morning game this weekend. So kind of lucked out there where the Saints don't play until later. So we get to see the early games stress-free and out of our own fields that we'll definitely be getting into when we play the Buccaneers. But playing the Buccaneers at home, this is the second team in a row coming in and playing the Saints on a short week, and this is the first of two 3 o'clock afternoon games. So the Saints play the Buccaneers at 3:05 p.m. Central, 4:05 Eastern time Sunday, this coming Sunday, October 26th. But they also play the Rams the following Sunday and an afternoon game. So better take advantage of being able to watch and enjoy the early games before some of these horror shows that you might probably have to watch in regards to the New Orleans Saints. But before we get into more of this, the injury reports, our MVPs, hot takes, picks and scores, and all that, I just want to shout out. I got a shout out here. So I want to shout out Jazier Q2Q with commenting. He left a pretty nice comment on the last, I think it was the recap show for the Saints' loss to the Bears, and even coming in and off of a loss and wanting to watch something that I produced that I did for a podcast, and just some kind words, saying that it was a good review, good mashup, and a hoot at from him, and hey, a hoot at to you, JG or Q2Q. I appreciate the kind words, and need as much as that as we can get as hoot-ats in such a rough season. Not a lot of positives in the season right now. So if I can get one or two here and there from the hoot-ats out there, the fans that are coming in to watch me, I love it. So that's really what keeps me going, is the comments, the likes, the follows, the subscribers, all of that. I just that's what keeps me going, and just a simple comment like that may keep me going for another couple months. So just I appreciate it, and I just want to shout you out, JG or Q2Q. All right, so now then, so we got that out of the way. Let's get into the Saints injury report, because once again now we know the Saints have two starters have gone on IR and done for the season now, and Eric McCoy and Kendra Miller. But even with those guys going on IR, the Saints are still kind of ridiculously healthy, and still it's annoying, but it's also annoying that it feels like that's going to come to an end in a couple of weeks. It already kind of has. You've lost three starters for the season already now, with Julian Blackmon, and then the addition of Kendra Miller and Eric McCoy, but just off of the players that they have available, they're all relatively healthy. But the Buccaneers have a really long injury report that we'll have to get into and take some time to look over. But on top of the fact that we just mentioned, they're coming off of a short week, a second in a row playing a team off a short week, and this will be the first of two playing afternoon games. But before we get into that, we gotta do one thing. I think we need to ask for a menu. So can I get a menu? And so the Saints injury report, like I was talking about, it's not really that long, but it's just kind of disappointing that we know that we've already lost like two of our best offensive players and Eric McCoy and Kendra Miller. So makes that kind of painful. But still the guys that aren't done for the season are still relatively healthy. But the first player on the Saints injury report, we have a wide receiver, Chris Olave, dealing with a little bit of some ankle soreness, but he didn't practice Wednesday, but was limited Thursday and was full on Friday and has no game status. So we're going to see Chris Olave, and if nothing else, hopefully he'll strengthen possibly his trade value, or he'll strengthen and maybe give a little bit of confidence to Saints fans that maybe he is worth signing, or he is maybe more of a or signing to a 1B receiver type of contract. But Chris Olave, would be nice to see him come in here and have another 100 yards and multi-touchdown game. And then next player on the list, you have defensive end Chase Young, dealing with an illness. Did not practice Wednesday, but was full Thursday and Friday and has no game status. So we'll be seeing Chase Young again. It'd be nice to see if he can capitalize on some of the pressure, and he has looked decent in these first couple games since he's been back. But it'd be nice to see him capitalize on them, get some of these almost sacks and turn them into sacks, or force a fumble or something would be real nice. The Saints need as much help as they can get in those type of in that category. And then you have a tight end, Juwan Johnson, neck, was limited Wednesday and Thursday, and then was full on Friday, and then has no game status. So we'll probably get to see Juwan Johnson catch a couple passes that he probably shouldn't catch, and then drop a couple that he probably shouldn't, and then fumble the ball in key moments because Juwan Johnson looks like he's healthy enough to play. So I'm excited to see more Jared Cook Jr., Jared Cook light in Juwan Johnson. And then we have running back Alvin Kamara, who's also been dealing with some ankle soreness, kind of like Chris Olave since the Patriots game, going back to the Patriots game. But seems like it hasn't bothered him too much. It's just limited him in practice a little bit, but he was limited Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but has no game status. And then defensive tackle Devin Gachu, who's always on the injury report for the same reason. It's just non-injury related rest. It's just a veteran rest day essentially. But he practiced Wednesday, didn't practice Thursday, that veteran rest day, and then was full Friday, and then has no game status. So, besides it's sucking, really, really big bummer losing Eric McCoy and Kendra Miller, kind of like the stalwart like pieces of like getting anything done on the offense is going to be hard now. It's just going to be basically Chris Olave, and that's about it now, because the running game wasn't looking. It was looking good as a 1-2 punch with Alvin Kamara and Kendra Miller, but just Alvin Kamara just being slammed up the middle 15, 20 times a game. I just don't see it working. But before we get to the Buccaneers game, I got to show that I got some Saints memorabilia on. It's finally got the sweaters and the Saints hoodies back in rotation because it's finally gotten cold enough. So there might be less showing of the tank tops and things like that. But we got a sweater, some Saints memorabilia sweater on, trying to keep us warm in this finally. I think fall is obviously here, and winter's just around the corner. But yeah, I just want to, before I forget that, we gotta show that. And hey, maybe that's what we need, more Saints memorabilia to maybe give us some good luck and maybe help us get some wins here. All right, so that's the Saints injury report. Let's get to the Buccaneers because it is long. Like this is what I imagine, and when I think of a Saints injury report week to week, this is what I think of. I just want to see if I can count like 17 players on their injury report. Like God dang, the Saints just have really just four because Devin Gotchu isn't really an injury. So like four to 17 is pretty ridiculous. But let's start at the top here. We have a quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. Teeth must have had some dental work or got his teeth hurt in practice or something. I didn't hear really the story behind that one, but hey, I know what he's talking about. I just went to the dentist on when was that? That was Thursday. So hey, I understand you got to get your teeth right. So but he didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday, but then was back Friday, so he should be available for backup for Baker Mayfield, who I actually kind of hope we get to see for maybe at least one play, a couple plays, or maybe one series or something. We'll get into that when we get back into hot takes here in a moment. But then you had linebacker Levante David. Knee/ribs didn't practice Wednesday, but was limited Thursday and full on Friday, and has no game status. Wide receiver, Amika Buka hamstring didn't practice Wednesday, but was limited Thursday and full on Friday, and has no game status. So that's basically like the only healthy wide receiver that the Buccaneers currently have, really, because Chris Godwin is still out, and yeah, Mike Evans broke his clavicle, his collarbone last Monday. So he's Amika Buka should be available, and then you have a defensive tackle Greg Gaines. Toe didn't practice Wednesday, but was limited Thursday, full on Friday, and has no game status. And then we just talked about Chris Olave dealing with a fibula injury of some sort. Didn't practice Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, and he is out. So this is starting to get into players that are going to miss this game now. And you have guard Luke Haggard, shoulder, didn't practice Wednesday, was limited Thursday and Friday, and is out. Bucky Irving, running back, Bucky Irving, who I think, if I can remember right, had a pretty big game against the Saints in the last meeting between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2024. It was either in the last meeting or one of the games from 2024. Bucky Irving went off. So running back dealing with the foot and shoulder, didn't practice all week and is out. So hey, that's a positive. The Chris Godwin, and I'm not sure if Luke Haggard is a starter for the Buccaneers or not, but still, you got three decent players right there that are out for the Buccaneers. And then you have defensive back Christian Izing, knee, didn't practice Wednesday, was limited Thursday, full on Friday, and has no game status. And then here's another good one that helps the Saints a lot, and it might help take a little bit of the heat off of Spencer Rattler, but outside linebacker Hassan Reddick, who was a kind of a big addition, one of the big additions for the Buccaneers in the offseason to try to boost and help their pass rush be better this year. But he's dealing with the ankle and knee, didn't practice all week, and is out. So the Saints offensive line and Spencer Rattler not having to deal with Hassan Reddick is kind of nice. And then you have a safety, Antonio Winfield Jr. toe, didn't practice Wednesday, but was limited on Thursday, full on Friday, no game status. Guard Brendan Brinson, shoulder, was limited Wednesday and then was full on Thursday and Friday, has no game status. And then tight end Devin Culp, knee, was limited Wednesday, full Thursday and Friday, no game status. Guard Michael Jordan, knee, limited Wednesday, full on Thursday and Friday, no game status. Quarterback Baker Mayfield, I guess he got beat up a little bit in the game on Monday. But Baker Mayfield dealing with a knee and an oblique was uh, was limited Wednesday and then full Thursday and then was limited on Friday and has no game status. But hopefully the Saints defense can help Baker Mayfield with his knee and oblique after some of the wild ish he was talking earlier in the week. I don't think I caught all of it, but sounds like he was trying to call the Saints dirty and trying to circle back around to trying to mention stuff about him. What was it when PJ Williams destroyed Chris Olave's knee when he upended him, flipped him when he caught a pass over the middle, and it just like destroyed his knee. Acting as it, I'm trying to think. Baker Mayfield wasn't even on this team when that happened, or if he was like a backup to Tom Brady. So I don't even know why he's talking that ish. He didn't throw that pass. I'm pretty sure Tom Brady threw that pass, but yeah, he's talking some of that ish, and we got a little get back from had a little bit of response from some Saints defenders. We'll get into that when we get into hot takes here in a minute. But yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing some Saints defenders helping Baker Mayfield with that knee and oblique injury he's dealing with. You know our history, and it's gotten to the point I don't want to shy away from it anymore. If people are going to constantly break it up, hey, bring it up, then I guess that's who we are. So I'm gonna accept it, embrace it. That's the word. I'm gonna embrace it. People think we're a dirty team, then okay, I guess. And then we have quarterback Zion McCollum. Thumb was full all week, no game status. Running back Josh Williams, concussion, was full all week, no game status. And then nose tackle Vita Vea was a foot. Practice Wednesday, so he must have hurt it in practice, or I guess maybe because they played on Monday, they probably actually didn't practice. That's just an estimated practice for Wednesday. I made that same mistake when I did the injury reports for the Bears last week, but he didn't practice Thursday or Friday and is listed as questionable. Out of all these players, I already went over the guys that are actually officially out. Probably the one that would be the biggest loss and biggest help towards the Saints in this game would be Vita Vea not playing. The Saints might actually be able to run the ball for the first time in a couple weeks if Vita Vea doesn't play. But if he plays and he's healthy, we can go ahead and scratch that off. But wanted to circle kind of back around to the Baker Mayfield trash talk. So yeah, he talked about the incident between PJ Williams and Chris Godwin, and talking about how the Saints defense is a little suspect in that regard. But I guess he must have not have been here. He must have forgot or wasn't here or just blocked that out of his mind when Devin White literally ruined the Saints the 2021 season with a horse collar tackle on Jameis Winston, essentially ending the Saints season when they were 5-2 and were on the way to a win with Jameis Winston. And Jameis Winston was in his prime, and since then, Jameis Winston never been the same because of that knee injury. So miss me with trying to call the Saints dirty or any of that nonsense. So that's the injury report. Can't say I'm disappointed with the Buccaneers having such a long injury report, but the real test to that is if the Saints are actually able to make anything of it. Does that mean that this gives the Saints any competitive advantage, or are the Buccaneers just so much better of a team that it doesn't matter if they're missing a couple starters, that they'll still dog walk the Saints? I'm kind of leaning to the latter there. But anyways, so we're done with the injury report. Let's get to MVPs and hot takes and things. So for my MVP, we've been picking offensive players here for a while, and I'm gonna kind of circle back around to a defensive player, a young defensive player, a rookie that made some nice plays in the last couple weeks. Had a forced fumble against the Buffalo Bills, and then had an interception last week against the Bears. So for my MVP, I'm going to I'm gonna pick Quincy Riley to have another good game. Either have another peanut punch forced fumble or get another interception or just really don't allow any catches in his area. I mean, I know the last time I picked a rookie for the defender for the MVP. It ended up not turning out well because I picked Jonas Sanker, and then he turned around and had one of his worst games of his career, his short career against the Buffalo Bills, getting burned a couple times by Kayshon Boutte. But I'm going to try it again. Let's see if Quincy Riley can have 2 games in a row, 2 good games in a row. And now on to hot takes. So I've gotten my blood and boiling and got me a little flustered from the comments from Baker Mayfield. Even though I'll admit I didn't watch the full video of the comments and didn't read the whole breakdown of what he said, but I got the gist of it. He's basically calling the Saints dirty and that they're still bounty hunting and all that ish. But if you believe that, then fine. Like I said, it gets to the point where people say so much about you constantly that you finally just become who they keep calling you or monikering you are. So, keep talking, bringing up the Bounty Gate stuff, which happened 15 years ago, then I'm going to embrace it. And I'm going to embrace it. So I think it was Cam Jordan and Demario Davis. Cam Jordan had a little bit spicier of a response, but we got more of a don't want to give any bulletin board material to you, but you just gave us bulletin board material kind of response for Demario Davis. But in this hot take, I want the Saints defender, Saints defense to lay at least one good hit on Baker Mayfield, whether it's one from when he's scrambling. Oh, we don't really care that you're deciding to slide, or a blindside sack that just comes out of nowhere and blast him to the point where doesn't injure him, like seriously injure him. Like I'm like the Brent talk about like Chris Godwin, like we wanted him to get hurt, but I wanted to shake him up. I wanted to rattle him a little bit, maybe knock him out of the game for a couple drives, or maybe we'll get to see Saints legend Teddy Bridgewater for a series because of it. But hey, you want to call us dirty? Then I want one of our defenders to go out there and be dirty. Then, if that's what you want, if that's what you think we are. So I would love for it to be Demario Davis or Cameron Jordan, the guys that responded, the guys that are in kind of that same age range. Baker Mayfield's still a younger guy, but on his team, he's probably considered an unk on the Buccaneers, just like obviously Demario Davis and Cam Jordan are legends on the Saints team, but are also considered unks. You got these guys that are in their 30s. So it'd be nice if it's one of them, but I would be fine if it's Jonas Sanker or any of the Saints defenders, really, Pete Warner or Danny Stutzman, one of the younger guys doing it, because I guess they if that ends up happening, I guess they have got very immaculated or have really immerse themselves in the culture, even though they've only played what it'd be like the 8th game of their career and their season. All right, so that's the first hot take. Kind of an odd one to check mark, like register, but if at least a big hit laid on Baker Mayfield and he's down rolling around on the ground for a little bit, then I would say that would be good enough. Not necessarily needs to be seriously injured or knocked out of the game, but I just want it. You call us that, then I guess we are that. And then the other hot take, which kind of is gonna kind of bleed into my pick and score here, is Spencer Rattler is gonna get sacked 2+ times again in this game. It's gonna look a whole lot like the Bears game. It's gonna be basically exactly the same as the Bears game. I mean, the last Buccaneers game in New Orleans ended 51-23 because it was a game where Spencer Rattler pretty much didn't do anything in the game besides in the second quarter, scored 23 points and then got shut out the rest of the game and lost 51-23. And that was because Todd Bowles decided that he needs to just constantly bring the pressure, constantly like all out blitz, and just put put um, put put Spencer Rattler in a locker, shove him in a freezer, lock him down and just make him uncomfortable for the entire game. So because I'm picking that, like I said, it's going to bleed right over into the pick and score, and this game's going to feel like almost just like the Bears game, but it might be even more unbearable because I don't really care about the Buccaneers. I don't really see that there's a Saints, a Saints Buccaneers like real like deep rivalry there or anything like that. It's more just like I don't like Baker Mayfield running his mouth. And it's annoying because Baker Mayfield was out there and he could easily be the Saints quarterback, and I liked him originally when he was coming out of the draft. What was that, back in like 2018, coming out of the draft, first overall pick? I was really liking him, really fond of him. And when they first started talking about him in the draft, it sounded like he wasn't might go like in first round, but it would be like later, like maybe in the 20s or something. But then he ended up going first overall for the Browns. So my dream of getting Baker Mayfield was dashed like that. So I can't really say I just don't like Baker Mayfield. I just don't like him because he's talking trash and he's for the Buccaneers, but at the same time, don't really care about the Buccaneers all that much. But it would be nice to beat them, seeing how the Saints haven't beat them in a while, and the Buccaneers have pretty much dominated the division. But I just see this game turning out like exactly like the Bears game, and the score may be even worse this time. So for the pick and score, I got the Buccaneers beating the Saints 30-10. So it's going to be even worse. The Saints aren't even going to be able to get their two 14 points, their 14 points, their two Olave drives that were made that game at least a little exciting or at least bearable and watchable for a moment. But I don't think the Saints are even going to be able to muster that much because Todd Bowles already knows just turn the heat up on Spencer Rattler, and you pretty much have shut him down. You pretty much have shoved him in a locker at that point. And so the Buccaneers score the 30 points, and the Saints maybe get one Chris Olave drive or one Rashid Shaheed bomb that leads to a touchdown. But I think that's about it. And then we'll probably get like close to a 50-something yarder from Blake Grupe, where he's turned off all the banners and stuff and video boards inside the Superdome, because he's able to make them when under those circumstances. But of course, you put him outside and put him in another person's an opposing team's stadium, then it doesn't seem quite as easy for them. So might see some positive out of Blake Grupe actually being able to make a field goal under really babied type of scenario, but he'll probably get the other 3 points that musters the Saints 10 points. So I'm picking the Buccaneers 30-10, and this is going to be, like I said, might be even more painful and unbearable to watch than it was the Bears game last week, if at all is positive. And we mentioned that this game isn't until 3:05 or 3:05 Central or 4:05 Eastern time. So I advise football fans, Hoodats, Saints fans, but also if you're just football fans, I advise you to really take advantage of enjoying the early games. But anyways, I think that's about all I have for you. So Hoodat, and can I get a check, please?